we're going to have just a quick chat in this terrible, challenging environment of the COVID-19 outbreak, and people are distracted, to say the least. There's so many different things working on us as human beings that we can lose complete focus on multiple areas of our life and our business life. And one of those, of course, being cybersecurity. And not only are we distracted and maybe not looking at it, we're also vulnerable to themes, COVID-19 related attack themes and hacker themes. And so people are doing things that they shouldn't or opening attachments they shouldn't. So we have a heightened vulnerability and a heightened distraction level. What I was hoping to ask you today is, what are a couple of things you would share right now, tactical, do it right now type things that business owners and business leaders, business managers could do right now today to lower their risk level?
First one is, and I'm going to focus on some of the non-obvious ones because everyone talks about passwords and hardening wireless access points and all that. So the first one is for business owners is don't utilize free services. I know everyone's working from home and we're very quickly migrating to the cloud. What most people don't realize, the free services, whether it's Google or Dropbox or any others, they're not free. You are the product or service. And with those free services, they're actually able to go in and access your data, access your information and other components. Spend the $30, $40, $50, or $60 and go for the commercial version. Go for the commercial Google Docs, go for the commercial Dropbox. That just adds that extra level of protection and security in place. Next, most of these components, whether it's Dropbox, Google Docs, or even your bank, they have built-in security, but it's not turned on by default. So what you want to do is not only turn on two-factor authentication, so you have an extra level, but here's the one that everyone misses: account alerting. You want to know that if somebody is accessing your account, if somebody's trying to log in, if somebody's accessing your critical data, you want to get a text alert on your phone, because the name of the game in cybersecurity is timely detection. Security is not about preventing the attack, but detecting it in a timely manner. So you really want to make sure that you're getting that alerting component in place. Then, this is for everyone, but also for home users, the amount of COVID-19 phishing attacks have increased by 300%. People are emotional. Anything about COVID-19, they're going to click on. And so far, we've looked at, my company and my engineers, we've looked at 307 different pieces of COVID-19 malware, and 100% of them all run on Windows only. They run on Windows operating systems. I'm not saying Windows is bad. I love Bill and Melinda Gates, but I'm saying because your emotion level is high and you're going to click on those links, even if we tell you not to, my recommendation is when you're checking email or surfing the web, use an iPhone, use an iPad, use an Android device, use a non-Windows based device in order to check that. It's just going to reduce the risk and reduce the exposure.
Yeah, a couple of things pop into mind right away. And one is, continue to practice just sensible, solid cyber hygiene. And by that, simply say, don't divert from good practices. Today the average consumer on their workstation has capabilities, whether it's a firewall, an antivirus tool, keep them current. Now, many of the operating systems today you buy will allow you to automatically keep those updated. I'd say turn that on. It's great to have that kind of maintenance done for you, so you don't have to think about, gee, I haven't updated my AV in a while, or my antivirus tool. Let it happen for you. Let the technology work for you. I think that's very important, because we live in a world today and where it's clear we rely on all of this enabled capability. Around our homes today, we find lots of capacity for communication to devices that we didn't even think about 5 years ago. And I read a statistic the other day that really stuck with me, and that is today in the world, the number of enabled devices, and that includes everything in our home, outnumbers the population 6 to 1. So it's on the range of 30 billion. That's a big problem to manage, so let technology help you manage it. That would be one. The other would be, in the midst of situations, realize that our cyber adversaries out there continue to work to win because they can. It's profitable. So don't, if you're prosecuting business or you're simply doing what you do from home, don't stray from what works. Use two-factor authentication with your phones. use smart web browsing capabilities to access your bank accounts. Clearly today we're doing everything remotely. So use the tools again that are there for you to help you to accomplish business transactions, whether it's just moving money, paying bills, doing whatever you do daily in a way that's not just responsible, but safe. And then you don't have to think about it because you know you're using tools that are designed with security in place. And the rest of it is really staying calm, stay focused, doing and behaving in a way that takes care of yourself physically as well as mentally is really important. You know, they talk about, you hear doctors talk about it all the time. Don't get stuck in place. Don't get sedentary. Today it would be very easy to be sedentary in an environment where many of us are asked to shelter in place. They didn't say stop exercising. You know, walks around the block, yard work, things that keep us stimulated both physically and mentally are equally important. We don't want to lose sight of that because I think that balance with all of us helps us to be smarter, you know, and more alert. And I think, you know, we can certainly read about it online, but I think we have the ability to practice as we play.
Yeah. So one of the first things I'd recommend is looking at your remote connectivity platform. For a lot of non-mobile workforce companies, this is the first en masse, at-length, remote management they've ever had to do. And so if you're not using multi-factor authentication for your VPNs, or you're not using a high cipher suite for your VPN connections, definitely ask your teams to look at that. We shouldn't be relying on certificate-based only authentication for remote connections. The second thing is be cognizant of where your employees might be working from and how that changes what data is viewable, and update guidelines. If you've got people that are working from Starbucks or from other public locations, they're probably not used to having privacy screens or being careful with what they're saying on conference calls or what's being presented on their screen during conference calls. Let them know what measures they need to take during those times. And third, take a look at data response or data breach response plans. There's likely some new use cases that you haven't had to encounter before, or some extremes that your plans aren't equipped for. So looking at those and refreshing people's memories of what they need to do if they notice a breach or if they are the victim of one, be it personal or professional accounts, that will be a good starting point.
I want to warn everybody about their home networks. Make sure that your home router is not set with the default password. You know, you can create your own private network there at home. Make sure your TV isn't on that network as well. You know, so companies need to make sure and communicate these sort of things to their employees, and maybe even some of them definitely help them out. I know we all connect via VPNs and things like that, but you know, the VPN is not a be all to end all, right? It's a secure channel between two devices, right? So whatever's on that one device is going to get the other side through your secure channel. So don't feel that because you have a VPN that you're safe, right? And as you said, there's many messages. I've seen a bunch come into my inbox, you know, just in the last few days that are want to give you all this good information about the virus, and it all looks really good and actually bring some real good stuff. But when you actually deep down and say, where is this thing coming from, and where did that person that copied, pasted, and put it into my inbox, where did they get it? You find that this is not the CDC, right, or the World Health Organization, which are the places you should go to trust and find real information about the virus. We know we need those bigger pipes, and they are doing all sorts of things to make the pipes bigger, but don't sacrifice security when you do that, right? And so it's going to be a little bit of a lag. So we're not going to use video as much, right? Maybe use your phone for audio rather than your computer. All these things you can do without lowering the security of your networks. Don't do anything that you wouldn't do normally just to improve the experience coming from home, right? There's many things that we as end users can do, but keep yourself safe. That's the number one.
There's a lot of people doing remote access, a lot more remote access than used to be the case. You know, there's going to be breaches, and this is very bad because the kind of breach that people are seeing nowadays that remote access is a factor in is targeted ransomware. And holding up an entire critical infrastructure facility to ransom because somebody got in, someone stole a password, someone tricked a dongle, somebody found, exploited a vulnerability. And so I would say remote access is essential in this time because the experts we rely on, our own people, may be in quarantine or may be unable to travel from a nearby city or from the next country over because of international travel restrictions. And so it's important to have very tight control over remote access. Waterfall Security Solutions, for our customers, we are making available free of charge unidirectional remote screen view licenses. And this is where you can turn something on, turn a switch, and now views of an industrial workstation are visible on a web server on the outside through a hardware-enforced unidirectional gateway. And now the outside experts can see the screen, they can see the mouse moving, they can give us advice. They might be quarantined, but they can give us advice over the phone while someone on the inside moves the mouse and operates the industrial process. You can reduce the amount of staff that you have at site because they can call on experts and they don't have those experts physically coming in and putting each other at risk. A lot of security practitioners are not even aware that it's possible to do remote access through a unidirectional gateway. They imagine that a unidirectional gateway completely eliminates that possibility. It's not true. There are 3 or 4 ways to do remote access. Remote screen view is the most secure, the most paranoid, the most robust in terms of nothing gets in, thank you. But there's lots of other ways to do it. And in fact, in some sites, it might make sense to have a remote screen view system working in parallel to your existing software-based, firewall-based, whatnot protection, so that you're not weakening all of that protection in order to bring about remote access, in order to gain access to remote experts.
Yeah. So probably the number one would be around remote access. Since everybody's moving to do things remotely and moving quickly, make sure you do that. Make sure you implement it securely, and make sure that if you're implementing remote access on a temporary basis to get the job done, make sure you don't forget to disable it when the job is over. And try not to cut corners. I'm sure companies are being forced to implement some secure access on a pretty short notice. But try not, don't forget the basics of making sure that there's multiple levels of authentication, that the sessions can be logged, ideally that they can be recorded if necessary. Those are probably the big things, authentication and logging, in case you have to go back and do some kind of forensics.
Awesome. Well, thank you for sharing a few thoughts in this incredible, challenging time period that we're all facing. Good luck. I hope stay safe, be well, and I'll talk to you soon.
All right.